Looking at the next 2 to 3 years, the AJ brand is already, or AJ Boxing brand is already massive. What are the key bullet points, the key things you want to achieve in the next 2 to 3 years to expand that brand even further?
I think UK market is we're comfortable with, and we feel like it's great, and we've had great support from the public, and we've done as much as we're obviously going to continue strongly. I think looking at places like America, Africa, like Middle East, China, I think in that sort of order is where we'll look to grow it. Because I mean, like you said, he's a world champion. He's got to be a world athlete, and he is a world athlete. But football has even like you look like football, tennis, they all play around the world all the time. Like you got the Premier League, but the rights go everywhere, and they play weekly. Anthony's fighting twice a year at the moment, so to build his profile outside of the fights and in other territories takes a lot of work. So I think America's going to be our next sort of place to build on.
You've got a bit of a leg up in that regard with DAZN, obviously, now that Anthony's free from any obligations to other networks in the US. But places that you mentioned, like China, the Middle East and so on, Africa also, what will be the kind of key things to put a line in the sand or a flag in the ground rather down there?
I think Africa, I think any of them maybe having a fight there. So you have a fight in Africa, Middle East is an option as well, and I think even Asia. I think it's a growing market. Eddie was out there recently for a fight, and he said it's just crazy. So I think there's a growing market that's going to get bigger and bigger. But I think you need something, and it's either the fight, or we have like lots of great sponsors. So America for us, key for us. Like we've got big sponsors like Beats, Under Armour. They'll be huge for telling our story over in America as well. Given
the history of Muhammad Ali fighting in Zaire, which is now the Congo and so on, how important is it personally to Anthony to fight in Africa at some point?
I think it is. He wants to do it, so it's not a matter of when. It's sort of, it will be literally when we do it. Like he talks about it enough that he knows that it's got to be right though. He can't just, if it's not the right move now, we're not just going to do it. But it will. He knows it will become the right move at some point, and when that will be, who knows? But I'm sure. Like you see the footage coming back from Nigeria and stuff with fans, and you just know it's something we've got to do.
And just before I let you go, you mentioned when you get to the top, as AJ is, the pool of potential opponents gets smaller and smaller. You must keep a keen eye on people coming through to see who could grow into the sort of attraction that would be worthy of opposing AJ. Is there anyone out there at the moment that's not currently in contention to fight him that you could see in the next 2 to 3 years could be a massive name or a massive fight?
I think, yeah, that's exactly it. Because you look at the top 10 and everything like that, and you start focusing on that because that's what you got around you and everything like that. But you forget Anthony was once in that position and looking at them, and he's now come up and taken it. And so we're now suddenly going to, and there's a load of them, there's Daniel Dubois, Joe Joyce, they're all starting to come up, and they're all going to be in that position soon, and they're going to be knocking on Eddie's door and saying, I want that fight, and they'll be climbing the rankings, and that's, I think, that's what will happen actually. And the best thing is it's all British. Like the top guys, young guys coming up, or sort of newer talent in the pro division are British at the moment.
Just connected to that, when Vladimir Klitschko was atop the heavyweight ranking for so long, he used to bring a lot of these young contenders into his camp to kind of size them up and kind of get an idea of them before they would eventually fight. That's what I was going to ask. Is Anthony going to now follow in those footsteps?
Well, Joe Joyce has sparred with closely, Daniel Dubois already. I don't think he's the sort of guy that will try and bring them in, suss them out mentally. I think he's not like that, and I don't think Rob's like that. But they know each other inside out because they've all fought and they sparred a lot. But I don't think he'll be sort of deliberately bringing them in, sort of get a sort of inside track on it. But I know he keeps a close eye on everyone and what's going on. So yeah.
Brilliant, Freddie Cunningham. Really appreciate your time.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
No worries.